Yo, what is going on YouTube? Hopefully you guys are having a beautiful day. You look absolutely terrific today. In today's video, we are going to be talking about the best Vanguard controller and graphic settings that you should be using. I got all my settings from a mix of multiple friends and other content creators. Just kind of taking bits and pieces of settings, seeing what I like the most, and this is what I came up with. Alrighty, let's hop on into it, shall we? Alrighty, first and foremost, I do play on controller. So for me and for many other professional players, I'm not a professional player right now, but in the past I have played a lot of tournaments online, and I have found the most success playing on a lower sensitivity if you want to be more consistent with your aim. So I am on 6.6, and that actually allows me to have the exact same ADS sense because 6.6 just feels consistent all around. So we're going to be playing on 6.6.1. Don't really touch anything else. Tactical flipped. I highly recommend playing on flipped if you are newer to PlayStation controllers in particular, because the bumpers just shoot so nicely. Unless you have like a scuff controller or trigger stops or something, tactical flipped feels great. You slide with the right stick as well. So if you don't have a scuff, you can do that. But if you do have a scuff, if you do have paddles in the back, default might be for you. As far as everything else goes, everything else is standard. You do want to switch this aim response curve type to standard. A lot of people ask, hey Raul, what's the difference? Why do a lot of professional players play on dynamic aim response curve? Well, the answer to that question is dynamic essentially gives you more of a snappy feel on your aim. You're going to get a little bit less sensitivity up close, but long range, you could pinpoint precisely exactly what pixel you want to be shooting at. And that is why myself and so many other controller players that play a lot will stick to dynamic. Because at first you might be getting smoked a little bit, but if you just grind out those first couple days of just getting absolutely beaten down on, your shot is going to be more precise, long range especially, than you thought was ever imaginable. So highly recommend giving that a try. Please turn off controller vibration because that vibration can mess up with your aim. Weapon fire threshold, I believe this is on by default, but I would recommend having that on off because it kind of adds like an inconsistency to how all your guns shoot. It makes different guns shoot like different off sprint. It feels weird. So I turn that off. All this stuff I just laid on default, I do believe. And then these are the important ones. Left trigger and right trigger, minimum input dead zone. For me, if you do have trigger stops or Titan triggers, the lower you lower this, it might mess with your game. So I got it down all the way to 5 where it didn't really mess with my game at all. And it felt pretty damn good. Unfortunately for me, I do shoot with bumpers. So this stuff kind of isn't like that crazy for me. But what does matter tremendously is this left and right stick dead zone input. Essentially, you want to get as low as possible without having stick drift. I am on an older controller right now. I've been using this for a couple months, so I couldn't really go lower than 5 without getting some sort of stick drift. You want to leave these on 99 and have this as low as your controller will allow it to be. I'd recommend anywhere from 3 to 5 for the most part is what most people are going to have that on. And then when we go over to gameplay, just leave your target aim assist on. You want to have this on default. Have your all this stuff for the most part on default. This setting actually in particular, I noticed that when I played the game at first, coming from Warzone, the slide cancels felt a little bit weird, and actually turning off this grounded mantle setting and the advanced settings of this option actually made my G slides feel a little bit more fluid. I'm not sure if it's a placebo effect or what's going on there, but that's just something I noticed. So I'd recommend giving that a try if your slide cancels are feeling a little bit bizarre. Automatic tack sprint is highly recommended because it's going to help you hit your G slides or your slide cancels so much more consistently. And it's just truly going to overall help your movement as long as you understand that you will not ever kill anybody by sprinting at them. You're not a linebacker. You got an MP40. So, take the shoulder pads off and you're not going to kill nobody with those sprinting. So use that tack sprint to get to a nice position and then post up an ADS. Take your time. That's what a lot of people don't like tack sprint because they're going to think that they're going to be sprinting just way too much. But play an auto tack sprint, but still have it in your head that, don't sprint as much. Sprint cancels reload. I love having this one on personally because I cannot tell you how many times I'll be reloading and I want to just quickly cancel out of the reload, sprint, smoke somebody, hit a little slide cancel and not still be reloading my gun during all that. You want to have tap to slide on. You need to have this. This is the most important setting to have on tap if you are trying to have better movement. For the most part, all this stuff is also default. I have this on prioritize reload because when I had it at first, just a tap reload, it was still taking kind of a bit to interact with things. So I have it on prioritize reload. So my very first thing, like the thing I'm going to be doing more often than interacting is going to be reloading, but I still also want it to be tap to interact. So if you read on the right side, it says tap to reload and interact. If both are available simultaneously, tap to reload, hold to interact. So it does prioritize your reload over the interaction, which I think is the play ski for sure. And then scoreboard behavior is on toggle. Let's go ahead and hop on into the graphic settings. And I'm sure a lot of you guys are probably pretty confused about. So for the most part, everything's default. Make sure your refresh rate is as high as it goes. Make sure your brightness is exactly how you want it. I recommend having HDR off. I've been looking around and playing with it on and off and automatic, and off just looks the best and feels the best for me personally. Focus mode is on off. And then you are going to want to hop over to quality. And this, for the most part, I would just recommend having this quality preset on low. Obviously mine is custom first, but it's going to save you some time to go down the line here. If you want to have the best possible frameage, you're going to want to go ahead and play on very low to low on pretty much every setting. And then I highly recommend having particle quality on high as well. Particle resolution on low. Bullet impacts and sprays on off. Shader on low. Tessellation on off. Level of distance long range on long. Be sure you have this one on long. You do not need the close ones on low or on high, because since they're already close to you, you're probably obviously going to be able to see them, but something that's a little bit further away might be a little bit more difficult for you to see. Everything else for the most part on low, very low. You want to have cache shadow spots on. That way it will help your frameage up a little bit. Everything else on low. Aiming occlusion on off. Space gradient on off. I had this on balance at a point, but to be honest, I'm not even on an AMD processor, so I don't really think it does anything for NVIDIA, but don't quote me on that. I'm not sure, but have that on off. Have this on off. Have this on SMAA T2X. Do not have it on Filmic because it does make the game look pretty bizarre. Depth of field on off. This does reset every now and then, so just make sure you go and check this every now and then. If your game's feeling a little weird, it could be because this setting got reset. And then one of the most important ones is you want to make sure your field of view. If you are coming from Warzone, it's going to feel really weird, really bizarre. If you're like a BR player and you're switching over, playing multiplayer for the first time, if you're used to that 120 FOV, try cranking it down just a little bit. Because if you look at the little screen for the most part right here, obviously my face cam's covering it, but on 120 FOV, there is so much going on your screen. Oftentimes people forget that the only thing you could actually shoot at is what is directly in the smack dab center of your screen. So if you're on 120, for the most part, everything is super zoomed out really far away. So not only does it make it harder to see, but in terms of scanning using your gun and like where you're actually going to shoot, it kind of gives you like, it encourages a lot of people to have bad positioning because they think they could see it all, they could do it all. Oh, if there's a guy over here, I'm just gonna snap and laser that guy. For the most part, that's not gonna happen. You're gonna end up being overexposed, you're gonna have bad positioning, and you're gonna be just out in the open way more often playing on that higher FOV. Whereas myself and a lot of other professional players play usually around the 90 to 110 mark because they understand that you're only going to be able to shoot what is directly in the center of your screen, and having it any higher kind of like makes your eyes focus. There's just a lot going on. You're going to have to be absolutely cracked. I'm not sure if, maybe you got a G Fuel subscription coming in monthly or something. If you're cracked, give it a try. If not, try to lower it. See if you play better, position yourself better, and see a lot better. Camera movement on 50%. This one is a must-have because if you have it on default, I don't know what's going on, but the game just looks and feels freaking weird. So have it on 50%, and of course NVIDIA reflex low latency on plus boost. These two especially on off. Real quick before we get out of here, on audio settings, make sure I play on headphones. Guys, be sure you check and make sure that your surround sound system is what you are playing on, because when I first hopped on the game, I had everything on default, and the game, I could not hear any footsteps for the life of me until I went and checked it out, and I actually saw that the whole time I was playing on this setting on default rather than having it on my surround sound. So just be sure you have it on the correct device so you have surround sound. And besides that, you could have this on 100. I like to have it a little bit lower, and obviously I have my own mixer on the side that I do mess with my settings. And then I see a lot of people playing home theater, but I actually hear better on headphones. So that being said, man, enjoy the video. Hopefully you guys are having fun on Vanguard. It is definitely a nice breath of fresh air. I'm extremely excited for the integration with Vanguard and Warzone coming soon, because as you guys know, I do love me some Warzone. But I've been enjoying Vanguard, man. Hopefully you guys are all having a beautiful day. You look freaking good, and hopefully the settings helped you, man. Take it easy. Be sure you guys take these settings, maybe another video, and then, you know, test your stuff out. Do not always just take one person's word for it. See what works best for you. But this is what works for me, and hopefully it works for you too. Take it easy. God bless, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.